Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's Jay Dreamers, and I've been up for a long time tonight, studying a lot of information and soaking in some videos and stuff that you guys have put out. So I want to comment on the sun, or what I call the skylight in particularly. Um, I just released a video talking about how Obama has signed his space weather executive order directly having to do with something going on with the sun and how it's going to probably affect our power grid and the physical nature of the land, etc. So I want to go into some of my own views on this. All right. So personally, I'm coming from a flat Earth perspective, obviously, and so I don't think that the sun is 93 million miles away. I believe that the sun is close, it's local, and it was brought into existence by someone or something. If you've seen my videos, you know what I'm talking about. And it circles over our realm. And there have been instances in our past, in recorded history, where the sun has done funny things. All right, so what am I saying? I'm saying that the sun is, to some degree, fragile. So the sun can be manipulated. All right, and I'll give you two examples. Both of these come from the Bible, but there are actually other world records that indicate that these things happened in other places as well, in other places. But one of these is in the book of Exodus. Many of us are familiar with the 10 plagues. One of those plagues was, I believe, the 9th plague of darkness, where the sun turned off for 3 days or 3.5 days. There was no light. And it wasn't like, well, there was a lot of clouds in that particular area. No, I am of a mindset that the sun was switched off. The sun is a light, just like any light in my house can be flicked off with the flick of a switch. I absolutely think that the sun can be controlled. It can be controlled as to its movement, and it can be controlled as to its brightness, and it can be dimmed, and it can be switched off. So, to me, that is a serious reality. It has been recorded as having happened in the past, and it's also recorded or prophesied or predicted that it will happen again in the future. And so, for that reason, I would like to offer everyone a suggestion. In your house or somewhere nearby, please have access to lighters, matches, candles, things like that, just in case the sun were to turn off. Okay? That sounds so crazy, but it's so realistic at the same time. Know where these things are. All right? So, in the biblical example, when the sun turned off in Egypt, it said that certain people still had lights in their houses because they had things like candles. They had access to candles. If something happens with our power grid and our electricity turns out, you won't have man-made lights whatsoever. And if something happens to the sun itself, then you'll be in darkness. So I strongly recommend having candles, lighters, matches, maybe even flashlights, things like that, and to know exactly where they are. Like, if you closed your eyes, you'd be able to find them, somewhere nearby. So, that's my little piece of advice. Now, where does this come from? It not only comes from the book of Revelation and what happened in Exodus, not Revelation. I'm sorry, I'm tired. It not only comes from the book of Exodus, where Moses had the 10 plagues. It also comes from the book of Revelation, which basically is commonly accepted as being a predictive text of something that will happen. So I will be reading to you out of the book of Revelation This says, the sixth seal. And I beheld, and when he had opened the sixth seal, lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth, even as a fig tree cast away her untimely figs, when she was shaken by a mighty wind. I'm going to pause real quick. Something happening to the sun and it becoming dark is usually, in my experience, also followed by like strong winds occurring, like really strong winds. I'm going to continue. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. So, me personally, I think that we live under a dome. I've given my reasons for that in other videos. But if the heavens were a dome, it says that they were to be rolled up, unfolded, or opened up, which personally I think may happen someday. I think that there's a reason. If there's a dome placed over us, for whatever reason, it makes sense to me that it would be removed someday as well. And a part of whatever's going on with this, whatever's happening with the dome, causes the land to move or to shake and earthquakes to happen. But anyways, I want to focus on the sun, okay? It says that the sun turned black, all right? So there's a lot of great videos out right now about people worshiping the black sun and things of that nature. I just want to let you guys know, I think that the world's going to go dark, all right? That's basically what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure the world is going to go dark. I can't guarantee it. I can't say it's going to happen. And I'm not trying to scare anybody either. I'm just saying it's good to be prepared. And if you don't want to be prepared, then skip this video. That's fine. You don't have to believe it. I'm just saying I have a strong feeling that something like this may occur soon. And I'm going to read another thing out of Revelation. It says, the first angel sounded, and there followed hail mingled with fire and blood. They were cast upon the earth, and the trees were burned up, the grass was burned up, etc. I'm paraphrasing. Another angel sounded, and a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and bad stuff happened to the oceans. A third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning as if it were a lamp, and it fell upon a third of the rivers and waters, etc. And a fourth angel sounded, and a third part of the sun turned dark, a third part of the moon, and a third part of the stars. So, once again, we have the sun going dark, all right? We also have a lot of other weird stuff falling from the sky that's fire, basically, and it's burning up our world. Now, as far as the world burning, many of you have heard, whether or not you believe it, that the earth was once flooded. I personally think the earth was flooded. And I think there was a time where we didn't have oceans, and that may be where the oceans actually came from. However, it was predicted or prophesied or what have you that this event would occur. There was some caste of people, some species or races or beings or what have you that had foreknowledge that this was going to occur, that there would be a giant flood and that it would basically destroy most of the life on earth. Well, did you know that in addition to this, I look so tired, I'm sorry. In addition to this predicting that, hey, the world's going to be destroyed by water, it was also equally predicted that the world would be destroyed by fire. So I'm going to read you a couple of texts. One is, we'll go with the Bible first. 2 Peter says, the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. Now, there are some people that say that, the Lord is the sun. Okay, I don't care if you believe that or not, so I don't really want comments about that. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise. I think something's going to happen to the dome, personally. And it says, the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth and the works that are in shall be burned up. So basically it says, what kind of person should you be? You should be a good person, seeing that this is going to go down. looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens, being on fire, shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Okay, so there you have another passage in the Bible that basically says, hey, when the end comes, when the stuff goes down, it's going to be fiery. It's going to be hot. Okay, whatever goes down, it's going to have something to do with the sun. Personally, I think that we're going to have some period of darkness in there. And the Bible is telling everyone, hey, it's going to burn up. There's going to be a lot of burning and fire involved in this. So what about references outside of the Bible? The ones that I'm just going to share with you what came to my mind from my studies. And that was, I read Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, a while ago. And something stuck in my head. Like, it's a huge book, but there were a few parts that I was really interested in. This is one of them. I'm going to read you a passage. It says, in the children of Seth is back in Adam and Eve's time, were the inventors of that peculiar sort of wisdom which is concerned with the heavenly bodies and their order, and their inventions, that they might not be lost before they were sufficiently known, upon Adam's prediction that the world was to be destroyed at one time by the force of fire, and at another time by the violence and quantity of water, they made 2 pillars, one of brick and the other of stone. They inscribed their discoveries, so the worldwide knowledge, on both of them, that in the case of the pillar of brick should be destroyed by the flood, the pillar of stone might remain, and exhibit those discoveries to mankind. Okay, so there's also a few other writings that basically mention this prophecy by Adam himself that says that, hey, God told me the world would be destroyed once by water and then once by fire. So they put all their knowledge into vessels of brick, because if fire came, it would harden the brick. All right, and so their information would be saved. And if water came, the brick would dissolve away, but the stone writings would survive the water. Anyways, that's another prophecy about. Sorry, I was just checking. That's another prophecy about fire coming to destroy things. So, we've got Obama talking about the sun and how we need to get prepared for events that he calls space weather, which I think is like a really cookie cutter, sprinkly kind of way of saying, like, hey, something screwed up with the sun. Something's wrong with the sun. Something's going to happen with the sun. And there's all these prophecies. My area of expertise is sort of along biblical lines. I'm sure there's people out there that can find other avenues that talk about problems with the sun, okay? But I did want to get it out there that I think that, well, one, I'm not a huge fan of the sun, so I know you guys love sun gazing and stuff, and that's great. I'm happy for you. But I personally see that there may be a problem in the future with what we call the sun or the skylight, okay? And maybe the moon as well. I don't know. But hopefully, if that were to go down, okay, I'm not saying I hope it goes down, but if it does go down, personally, I hope it goes down before we have some kind of like World War III or martial law scenario, because that would be a huge distraction from me and you guys having to wrestle against ourselves, which is, the government and other people and stuff. I think that would be an extremely freeing scenario, because that we would have to, everyone would be worried about that, okay? And here's another thing. What if the sun fell? I mean, if it's that close, if it's inside of the dome, what if it actually fell to the earth and like started scorching and burning everything along the path? I don't know. I just thought of that. Anyways, that's all I got. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.